So let's go ahead and take a look at the Meta Quest Pro and compare it against the Meta Quest 2, I guess, and see which specific one is the better one for you. Now, the reason I'm kind of off with these names is because they've switched these names and I'm so not used to talking about it. I'm so used to calling it the Oculus Quest 2 or maybe even like the Oculus Quest 3 whenever that one was going to come out. So for them changing the name now to Meta makes a little bit more sense from a marketing standpoint, but still not used to it. Now, I will tell you, if you just want to get to the bottom of this thing and kind of move on with your life, the Meta Quest Pro is the best headset you could probably buy between these two. I'm just going to tell you right now, I mean, pretty much everyone agrees, this is going to be the better one. It's going to be faster. It's going to give you a much better experience. And this is the one that makes the most amount of sense if you have all the money in the world. But the thing is, not everyone has all the money in the world. And that's why something like the Meta Quest 2, I think, is at a very good price tag for a VR headset. This is what makes the most amount of sense, I think, for a majority of people from a financial standpoint. Now, I will say from an availability standpoint, I'm actually quite surprised that the Meta Quest Pro is still available. You can just go on Amazon and buy it. That's where I bought mine. If you want to pick up either one of these ones though, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. So that was something I thought there was going to be a huge backlog of Meta Quest Pro. Not quite the case. So the availability of both of these are there. You can just go and buy a Meta Quest 2 online and or a Meta Quest Pro online, maybe even at Best Buy or some other stores, and you can go on from there. So there shouldn't really be a wait list unless a wave of people end up buying them. So that is a big thing to keep in mind as well. Now, price tag wise, I did end up spending about $1,500, actually more than that, on my Meta Quest Pro. So it was a lot of money. I don't know if somebody should be spending that much money on just a VR headset, but if you believe in the future, if you believe in, pretty much the future of the metaverse, then guess what? This is probably going to be the best headset you can buy, or one of the best VR headsets you can buy in general. There's a lot of, competition. Apple's about to drop their own one too in a little bit. But the thing with this specific, Meta Quest Pro is that I just don't think there's going to be a successor to this thing in many, many years. With the Meta Quest 2, this thing came out back in 2020, so this thing, it's about 2 years old now, and we've had a few rumors that this thing could be getting a successor, but I honestly don't even think Meta's in a situation where they have to speed up the next successor of this thing. If you think about it, they just, I think, increased the price tag of this thing not too long ago, or they said they were and whatever. When I bought mine, I think it was probably $300 and something. Now they're about $400 on Amazon as well. So I think, usually when a company increases the price tag, that usually means that there's such a high demand that they just don't really need to go and, make a new one. They can just increase the price tag and people will buy it. That is the same as that thing Nintendo does with their console sometimes. They don't increase the price tag, but if you look at the Nintendo Switch, they just keep selling the same console for so many years now, and I don't know when the next one's coming out, but if you look at the Nintendo Switch OLED, that is a more premium version of the Nintendo Switch. That is kind of the same theory I think that Meta is trying to do here, but the Meta Quest Pro is a far more premium version of the Meta Quest 2. Now on the outside, that was a long intro, on the outside there are some differences here for sure. So on the Meta Quest 2, I, like this. I think it looks okay. It has a very, very, interesting look because it looks just like a VR headset. And anytime I look at something like this, even if it's from a different company, like a different VR headset, it reminds me so much of the Meta Quest. It's so funny. They marketed it, I guess, decently well. So you have, the standard way, you have the strap that you can go and put around your head. You have that big, screen portion that sticks out quite a bit. You have the controllers, which is nice. You have the, charging cable for your specific Oculus headset. And I think it's nice, you have 128 gigabytes of built-in storage, and just on the outside, some pros. It does have a very modern look. There's not that much glass on the outside, so if you drop it or something, I would say it's a little bit more durable than maybe the Meta Quest Pro, so that might be something to keep in mind. And you're getting a very, very, mid-tier device for a, VR headset, but there's so much development going on for this that it really doesn't even matter, honestly, in my opinion, if I can skip forward, it really doesn't even matter the chipset in this thing, because a lot of developers are going to tune their games and tune their apps for this specific headset because so many people have bought them. Same thing with Nintendo, with the Nintendo Switch. There are games that are coming out that probably shouldn't even be coming out for that console because graphically they're just so superior for that chipset, but they're going to make it work on that console because so many people own it. So with the Meta Quest Pro, this is a little bit more of a step up in pretty much every single area. So for one, the headset now has cameras that are very visible on the front. It's also a glass portion on the front too. So this is something that if you're commonly running into things, if you're commonly dropping your headset, well, that might be an issue for some people. But I will say the front portion sticks out way less than what the, headset does on the Oculus. And it also kind of, fits on your head a little bit better too, I would probably argue, and it is way more comfortable. However, the issue with something like the, Meta Quest is that the back portion sticks out a little bit more. Now, you can adjust it however way you want to, but I would probably argue that the, Meta Quest 2 is probably more, portable in a way than the, Meta Quest Pro. But again, you have to remember the people they're trying to target for the Quest Pro are not the same for the Quest 2. So a really big thing to keep in mind there. The controllers are also quite a bit different as well. So with the Quest 2, those controllers required a battery. They required like the AA or AAA batteries, whichever ones they were. So personally, it is kind of a disadvantage, I would say. You can always get rechargeable batteries, but it is kind of annoying. But with the Quest Pro, those controllers are now completely, rechargeable by themselves. They give you a little dock in the box that you can go and charge up your controllers, and that is a really nice thing. I love seeing that, and that is a really cool thing that I'm really glad they kind of threw in there too. So I will say the overall better one is with the Meta Quest, with the Quest Pro, but there are still a few advantages with the Quest 2, even from a design standpoint. Now, some other things, for one, apparently the Quest 2 has a larger or a longer battery life within it, which is actually very interesting. You probably wouldn't expect that coming from like the Quest Pro, but because the Quest Pro has a way better chipset inside, that thing has a huge boost in the performance segment. You are also getting full color pass-through. So for those of you who don't know, this is probably one of the biggest differences, and I think this is where the things start changing in the metaverse and with, Meta as a company. With the Quest 2, even as soon as you boot it up, you were just kind of like surrounded by black and white things in your camera. So, it's not black and white if you're on your home screen or if you're doing apps, but anytime you have to use your cameras to look around, it is in black and white. So for me personally, I didn't even think it was that big of a deal. But after looking at what the Quest Pro and what some use cases are for the Quest Pro, having full color pass-through allows you to pretty much see everything that's around you in color. So again, it's going from like black and white TV to color TV. It is a big difference, but it's not only a big difference if you're just creating a bounding box around you or whatever. It is, in some cases, if you want to go ahead and look at another screen on your specific, headset, if you want to go ahead and, drop another thing or like another like tab on a different side of your table, well, you can go ahead and actually be using like your iPad in front of you and still be in VR, which is so cool. So that is something I think with the Quest Pro, it's going to start improving in that area. We already know that the Quest Pro is going to be giving you better camera quality, it's going to have more RAM, it's going to be giving you better performance, and it's probably going to be the more comfortable one long term. But that in and of itself, I think, is going to be one of the biggest differences. So in my opinion, that is a massive thing for sure. Now, some other things, with the Quest Pro, like I've mentioned, it is reaching a different demographic. I think with the Quest 2, it's reaching more, common users of, if they want to play games, if they want to be in the metaverse and do other things. I think that's what the Quest 2 is going for. But I think the Quest Pro, for the most part, is pretty much going for the, hardcore companies that are probably trying to go through and capitalize on the metaverse and, make sure that, if they're making an accessory, if they're making, software, that it is working on the Quest Pro, because that is going to probably be the main test device for a majority of people, in my opinion, because of the full color pass-through. But I think for common people out there, if you're somebody who just wants to, be in VR and play a bunch of games and all that stuff, I would look at the Meta Quest 2 as, the Nintendo Switch, the standard Nintendo Switch that you can buy. I don't even know if this is a good example. I would consider the Meta Quest Pro pretty much probably even better than a Nintendo Switch OLED, but in this case, the Switch OLED, where it's kind of giving you the same experience, but it's just a way better console. You're getting way more things involved. Although it may be the same speed, in this case, it's not. The Meta Quest Pro is much better. It's a more expensive one, but it is definitely worth the upgrade if you see a long-term vision in, VR. And AR, but I don't know. I think the Quest 2 is probably the best one I can recommend to most people to buy. But if you have the money, then the Quest Pro is right there too. You can pick that one up as well. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.